Welcome back to Systems That Sell. I'm Jessica Quinones, and today I am joined by Miss Sandrine Ennis, President and co-founder of ExactSearch.ai. Her team is redefining executive search with partner-led service, AI-driven speed, and a pricing model that finally makes sense. Sandrine has decades of experience in executive search and recently launched ExactSearch.ai to disrupt outdated industry norms. We'll talk about how she uses AI to transform research and candidate targeting, her AI leadership quotient for assessing leaders, and how her firm delivers top tier results at half the traditional cost without losing the human touch. Thank you so much for joining me today, Sandrine. I'm so
Thanks
excited
for
to have you
having
here.
me, Jessica. Appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. I came across your profile and I was so impressed by how you're blending AI and executive search in a innovative way, especially in an industry that's been a little slow to evolve to AI. As someone helping recruiting agencies adopt AI tools, I knew I just had to have you on. So this is going to be super insightful, and I'm super excited for you to share what's working for you in your business today.
Wonderful. I'm excited as well.
Thank you. Well, let's get started by can you sharing a little bit of what inspired you to co-found ExactSearch.ai after years of running your own firm?
Sure. I actually kind of stumbled into the recruiting space. I guess probably a lot of people have, but I was in strategy consulting, and it was right around 2008, 2009 when companies were just pulling back on those type of expenditure. I started talking to people about just various things that were going on. I had a good friend who was standing up TSA at the time. So he had a $4 billion contract with the government to do that. He was working for Unisys, and he was talking to me about all of his recruiting challenges. Like, I don't understand. There's this recession, and yet why can't we hire good people? What's going on? And so we started brainstorming, and then he said, can we just hire you to fix this? And so that's how I kind of stumbled into the space. And it started with the systems integrators, and really having come from a consulting background, I was kind of floored by how the industry worked and how there weren't really best practices, and just some of it didn't really make sense to me. And so I started off in the contingent space and eventually moved into retained search, mainly because contingent has a different type of structure. I wanted to do, coming from consulting, I wanted to do really heavy research, wanted to give it my all, but then I do that and then not get paid. So if someone else had already submitted a resume and they were already down the path, and so I did all that work for nothing, and realized that type of business model wasn't going to work for me, and started moving more into the retained space where I could actually put in the effort to ensure that we were looking at all the possible candidates that were out there, and we were definitely identifying who was going to be best. So we were focusing more on leadership hiring and that type of thing. So that's how we evolved there. It always kind of bothered me in terms of how the fees were, because I knew they were really high, and I just kind of went with how everyone else was structuring their fees at the time. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's also in the space, but from a really large firm. And he had basically stood up the executive search at Robert Half. And we started brainstorming on how we can structure a business in a way that was going to offer the same type of service that we could to our clients, but not have to charge those type of fees, because some people don't really realize this, but half of the fee goes towards the person who acquires the customer. So when you have that type of customer acquisition cost, then you have to charge those kind of fees. And so we started looking at not only from the client perspective, like how do we structure a business that makes more sense, but also from a business perspective, we don't want to, we're not in a business to work for free, right?
Yeah.
So we started to see opportunities to lower our costs, and then at the same time, AI was just coming into the forefront of everybody's mind. I kept hearing people talk about, well, it's not who's going to survive the whole AI revolution. And everyone kept saying it's not a certain industry or whatever. It's the companies that use AI are the ones that are going to survive and versus the ones who don't. And started to realize that AI was going to play a very influential part in where search was headed in the future,
Mhm.
and really started to look at that and notice that there were a lot of opportunities with AI to be able to deliver the same service, but then be able to do it at a fee that's affordable. So everyone's using, well, the large firms are using AI, right? But instead of passing that savings to the customer, they're increasing their profits. And so
Mhm.
we decided, what if we instead pass along those savings to our customers? So that's
Yeah.
really where we kind of, the genesis of all of this started.
Absolutely. And I don't know, it might be a little mind-boggling for anybody listening. Like, why wouldn't you want to profit those savings, those margins that you're making? Can you share a little bit to anybody listening that doesn't know exactly your business model and explain exactly how Exact Search differs from traditional retained search firms in terms of your process, your fees, and then the outcomes that you're delivering for your clients?
Sure. We we actually have a board member and an advisor who's from he was a president at a Corn Ferry. His he would talk to clients, and everyone complained about the price. That was the number one complaint, was the price. Then it was the speed. Then it was the outcome, because you're paying the full fee, so their fees are, we'll call it 30 to 33%, maybe even 35, depending on what's going on. And then there's an admin fee on top of that. And that admin fee is 12% of that total fee. You're adding on, you're basically getting to a number around that 35%. So, there was so what we've done is, because we're using AI not only to make our search partners more and focus more on the search rather than all the administrative stuff that takes up a lot of time. And on top of that, from a sales perspective, we use a lot of AI. So all of our lead generation, all of our marketing, all of that is done by using AI. So we're not paying huge amounts of dollars towards, some sort of branding or any of that type of effort in the sales. So instead of paying a salesperson, we're investing a little bit more in marketing.
Mhm.
And so the outcome is basically, so in a typical traditional search firm, you have, the fee, let's say, so 50% goes towards the salesperson. Then you have the overhead, you have marketing. So at the end of the day, only 25% of the fee goes towards the actual search. And
Wow.
we just thought that was broken. And we thought, if you're going to pay a fee, at least 75% of it should be the service itself, right? And
Yeah.
that's how we've structured our business. So
Wow.
most of the dollars that are coming in on the fee are going towards making the search better. So our fees are 17%. There is a retainer; it's a flat retainer of 20,000, and instead of paying the full amount up front, you only pay the remainder of that 17% upon hire. So we're trying to de-risk things for our clients, because
Mhm.
at the traditional, actually, we were talking to the former president Corn Ferry, and he said less than 70% of the searches resulted in a hire. If you imagine that there's a 30% chance that you're going to pay a full fee and not even get a hire at the end, that's a enormous risk, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to help our clients to de-risk the hiring, but still have the search, the focus on the better service in terms of the search. And so we only have senior partners who do the searches. We don't do any junior handoffs. So no one, it's often the case where you get handed off to an associate who does the search, but they're not the person with the decades of experience. So that's really our focus, is to make sure that we deliver a higher level of service, while also at the same time reducing our fees to what really is reasonable. I mean, we looked at this business model. We're going to make money, and there's no reason for us to be charging fees that are higher when we are still doing a very we're still.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, this business model gets me so excited because I think you're just changing the industry completely and you're really setting the precedent of, what's to come. And the fact that you're leveraging AI, you're cutting cost operationally and internally so that you can then allow for your offer to be, at a more reasonable rate on your side. I think this is so huge and it's really exciting for me. My question to you is when you present this to your clients or potential clients, do you ever or have you ever got any pushback from the use of AI in your search or any reluctancy with potential clients because of your processes?
Sure. So actually, we thought about that even before we launched because we knew that having our website be a .ai
Mm,
might give the impression that we're an AI platform, which we are not. We are a human service company still,
hmm.
and the aspect of it is that there's parts that AI can do very well, but there's parts that AI can't. And
Absolutely.
that is really in the core of the search, which is identifying candidates. So there's a lot of research that's involved with a search, and is very helpful with that. But when it comes to actually identifying a candidate, that requires somebody with a lot of expertise. And then interviewing is absolutely a human experience that it will, I don't see that changing in the foreseeable future, but it will eventually, but not in the foreseeable future. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's where we see a lot of benefit with that. So we're very expressive to our clients or potential clients that this is not AI doing the work. There's still senior partners that are absolutely doing the work. It's just AI is making the automation of the administrative side, the research side, much faster and much easier.
Yeah, definitely. That's so great. I've spoken to quite a few different agencies, different owners within the space. And I mean, I get a lot of pushback on AI. There's a couple of different factors. I see a lot of pushback on AI. Either they're adamant about just being manual, reviewing everything with their kind of the mentality that this is how we've done it, this is how we've always done it, this is how we're going to continue to do it. Then I have some agencies that maybe they've tried leveraging AI, but they're a little clueless on how to use it. I spoke to someone recently who was trying to use juicebox.ai for sourcing, and he had expressed to me that it could take 30 minutes to 3 hours just to prompt it in a way to optimize the candidates that it's screening for anybody who's on either side of this spectrum, that's either really opposed to AI and then maybe those that are trying to use it, but it's kind of not really working out for them. What advice do you have for them? Is there anything that has worked for you? Any tips or tricks that you could share?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's important for people to realize that AI is not going away. And I think that it is important that people embrace it just from the perspective of trying to understand it. And so I encourage everyone to get on ChatGPT, give it a try to understand what it can do, what it can't do, listen to podcasts, whatever it is. But you need to get into the space to understand it because it's going to become even more prevalent in every aspect. So just like what people have always said, the companies that will survive are the ones that are using AI. So and that's the same with people. If you're not using AI, then you're going to be behind in the future, and that might be controversial in itself, that kind of statement. But judging from what all the top experts are saying, I would say that they're probably right.
Yeah.
So absolutely engaging with it, understanding what it's. So what I've done from a sourcing perspective, because I think that's the part where people are not sure whether or not it can work. What I've done is when I have a search that I'm currently doing, I go on one of these platforms and I do the demo, right? Whether they let you do it on your own or you doing it in person, and then I have the AI do the search because I already know who my top candidates are, right? So if they're not coming up with the same people, this one can't do it, right? And so we've demoed a lot of these sourcing models and they're not there yet. What they can do is they can offer another option where you can say, Did we miss anyone? Might find a couple of people in there. At this point, I don't know if it's worth the cost just to have that added one or two candidates. But the part where it is very helpful is the research. So understanding who are the competitors, what are the other types of roles that would be, a successful type of person in that role, identifying the types of areas in which you can source candidates and where would be the target candidates. I mean, sometimes you don't really, you're searching into a space like government contracting or tech. Well, their titles in the roles are always different, right? So you might not be aware that an account manager in this space means, or even with that company, is account manager with that company is different from an account executive from that company or whatever it is, right? And AI can really help with that. AI is very good at doing that type of deep research, and that is enormously helpful because that takes a lot of time if you do it
Yeah.
manually. And so I would encourage people when it comes to the research side and who are the competitors, what are the markets that I should be looking at, what are the roles I should be looking at, what type of person, what kind of questions should I be asking in an interview, all of that AI is fantastic at. The other place where AI is fantastic, and I saw that you have a recorder,
Hmm.
so I think that is essential, is in any interview that it's being recorded. And what's wonderful with AI is it's very good at taking a transcript and giving you a summary. And
Hmm.
so that summary is really helpful for a couple of reasons. For yourself, because we are just human. So in a meeting, we're only going to catch so much. And so it'll come up with things that you haven't thought of or you didn't hear in the interview,
Hmm.
and it helps with your summary that you have to send to the client. So now you've got, kind of a template for a summary, and those summaries can take a lot of time to write. And so now you've just cut down the time to write that summary about the candidate, for the client. So I'd say those are the two major areas. I mean, then it's sales. AI is enormously helpful when it comes to sales and marketing. There's so many tools out there, and they're fantastic. So I think that those are the big areas, and those are not controversial either. There really isn't. I know AI can be scary when you think about it, like, oh my gosh, I'm entrusting this thing. But
Yeah.
when you use it as a tool, as a, all of it is being guided by a human, then it's just a tool. It's not taking over, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And I appreciate you sharing about the titles because I've heard that's where a lot of agencies are getting stuck because, they feel like if they are using AI could miss out, if a candidate has a resume and maybe they didn't list these certain keywords, in the search, then you could potentially miss a candidate just because they didn't put those keywords in their resume or because of their title was different. Do you have any best practices, or maybe it's even like a way that you prompt, or if you even prefer like a certain platform over another to be able to identify any keywords or any titles to help the process a little bit better?
So I haven't done contingent in a while. So when you do a retained search and somebody says, I need a VP of sales for this, so you're looking for people and you're understanding what type of background is appropriate. So you're looking for somebody who is kind of falls in line with that same mission, whether that's the American Cancer Society or whatever it is, association. And then, so you don't want to, go for somebody who's, doing, renewables, right?
Hmm.
Because even though it might be the same keyword in terms of the role, that's a totally different, space. So our approach isn't keywords approach. We will find people even if they don't have the keyword because we know that they're coming from the background that we're looking for. So the company that they're currently working at or they've worked at previously is a enormous indicator of whether or not somebody's qualified for, whatever the next company is. And so it, what AI can, like I said, with the marketing, with the market research, can help you identify, where those target people would be sitting,
Hmm.
and then give you kind of the long list of roles that you can put in there so that you're not missing anyone from that perspective. But in contingent, it's much more keyword based because I mean you have to be, and I mean you can always ask ChatGPT, what are the other keywords that I should be inputting, and they can even give you what the search prompt should be. I mean,
Mm.
it can, you can actually ask it, give me a better prompt.
Yeah.
So,
Improve.
yeah,
Definitely. Well, I think that's super helpful. I do talk to a lot of contingency search firms, so I think that could be helpful for their keyword search and all of that. Do you mind sharing what some of your favorite tools are?
yeah. So we use Quill for um, the interview recording perspective. They have a tool, and I can't remember what it's called, but I think they started with an SDR tool,
Hmm.
so for sales development, and then now they have this Quill is specifically for recruiting. So it's structured in a way that you can really use it for that, and it integrates with some of the ATSs out there. The ATS that we're using is Invenius. So, and mainly because it integrates well with other types of tools, it's one of the top, you know, integrators. LinkedIn for us is king for executive hiring. It's pretty much the place to go. There are very few executives that don't appear on LinkedIn. So we also have some proprietary ones that our head of tech has kind of vibe coded.
Hmm.
Vibe coding is basically coding in English. So we have a lot of those type of kind of proprietary tools that we've done, partly on the lead generation. So lead generation, there's Apollo.io. Instantly has been really helpful. And then also Dripify. Dripify is integrated with LinkedIn. Very few products can integrate with LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
I kind of wonder how long Dripify can last before LinkedIn might shut them down. Right now, they're fantastic when it comes to helping to automate a lot of that type of outreach on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
So yeah, so we're constantly demoing products. There's new stuff out there all the time. It's really crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot. And like I said, if there's something out there, this is what we found. If there's something that's not out there that you need, and the process is something that's repeated and it's automatable,
Hmm.
that's a word, then then you can vibe code it. I mean, that is an option to do that as well.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Well, we're gonna get a little techie here because I love tech, and you seem to have like my system that I use pretty down packed in your business. Because, I mean, I was actually talking to somebody this week, and they're like, for the people that are relying heavily on referrals, word of mouth, it's just kind of mind boggling. I get the idea of being word of mouth, but for me, it's like you never turn off your sales pipeline. And I was talking to someone the other day and I mentioned about cold emailing. Like, have you tried cold emailing? And they're like, do you think cold emailing really works? Of course. Like, are you using LinkedIn? And this combination of LinkedIn, utilizing Apollo.io, your Apollo is so amazing because you can put in exactly the company size, the titles of the positions that you want to, search for. And you can put in the location and everything, and it'll literally give you out this list that it scrapes for you LinkedIn URLs and then also the email addresses. So you can directly email them. So then you have this list, you can verify those email addresses, use instantly to automate those cold email campaigns to get sent out. And this is a lot of your sales process that could already be optimized. So I think that's really great that you're using that because I live by it. I mean, I think it's just great. I found some other tools that are actually, I don't know if you've heard of, but this one I've been leaning into a little bit more lately is Lemlist. Have you heard of
Yeah,
Lemlist?
I have. I have. I haven't. I don't know if we've demoed that. I don't. I'm not on every demo, but yeah, I don't know if we've demoed that. You
Yeah.
like that one?
I would like you to let me know if you do demo it because I haven't I mean, I've been playing with it, but it caught my attention. I know a couple of others in the space similar to me, they've been using it. And it's nice because you can do LinkedIn outreaches. I like it because it automates voice notes, and I really like voice notes for the more personalized approach. And then you can automate the emails, and it also has an email warming system in it, similar to Instantly. So it's something I'm looking at, but it could be an up and coming LinkedIn email duo type of platform that you could use. You mentioned SDR earlier. I'm just curious, do you have an SDR that's supporting you with like replying to your emails for you and like getting calls booked?
So we're doing that through automation, honestly. So we have Calendly. It's all through the messaging. So we have all of those call to actions. We have call to actions on everything we send out. So
Yeah.
there's a book a call, send us a note, whatever it is, right? Check out our email, our website. But so we're keeping that as automated as possible.
Hmm.
I mean, at some point, we're going to need to bring on a person who answers questions. But we're getting AI is getting a little close to being able to do that. I mean, there's definitely an opportunity to have it ingest all of the data that you would be saying at any point, and
Hmm.
then it would just answer all the questions that anybody would have. But some people want a personal touch, right? I mean, our clients are investing, as much as $100,000 in a search, so they don't necessarily want a full AI response. So we're definitely engaging personally with our clients in terms of that sales process. But we do see in the future that that's going to become more and more on the AI side.
Yeah, definitely. I know Instantly just added the Copilot feature. It's a little robotic at the moment because it's new. But I don't know if you guys use N8N, like the
Yeah,
letter
yeah, yeah.
N.
Yeah, that's what we use for. Well, that's what I use for the vibe coding.
Oh, yeah, nice. Because then you could, I mean, for SDR, what I've been testing out is you can send the responses to like a chat GPT and then respond back and, kind of do this like back and forth. So that's really cool that we speak the same language here. That's
Yeah, no,
nice.
absolutely. N8N is fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
I never ever thought we'd be coding in English, but here we are.
Yeah, definitely. I recently found out about it. It's like a rabbit hole because I love workflows and they just, I don't know, I
Oh
nerd
yeah,
out
yeah,
on
they're
them.
perfect for that, right? I mean, it's like the visual with the whole flow chart is just it's just
Yeah,
so easy to understand.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so glad that we agree on that. That's exciting. No, I don't find too many people that are interested in workflows. So like, what?
Well, I mean, that's how the coding works, right?
Yeah,
It's all about those workflows. Yeah, there's a lot in AI that needs to get a little better, but the capabilities are just rapidly improving. I mean, I can't the things that it couldn't do a year ago and now it can do is just mind boggling.
absolutely. Yeah. Can you share a little bit on what type of niche you serve currently? I know that you had mentioned that you support nonprofits, but and you're also doing executive search. What did you
Yeah,
have?
so we only do executive search, but the industries that and we because my partners and I we collectively have over 50 years of experience. So we've touched every industry over the years. But what we found, we were thinking about, what are the industries that are really price sensitive, right? Who really could benefit from something like this. And so we knew that nonprofits are always struggling in this space. I mean, at the end of the day, they can hire two people for the price of one with us, and that's really beneficial for them, and then sometimes they have high turnover, whatever it is, and so those costs can go up, and then they're not. That's just on the operation side, so they're not actually dedicating those dollars to the mission, which is important. Healthcare is another one. Healthcare is always kind of price sensitive, so, and then VC backed startups who are trying to every single board meeting, the word burn comes up. So they're always looking at what's their burn. And so this is an opportunity to help, you know, really have transparent fees. We don't, we're very honest about how our model works. And there's not this black box of, we're doing all this magic in the background. And that's why it costs so much money.
Yeah. I think that's what a lot of companies think. Like they don't really understand the recruiting process. They just know that they hire someone, they do some magic, and then they give you this candidate, you know? Do you have any big goals for Exact Search this year? Is there anything that you're currently working towards?
I mean, we're trying to capture as much of the market as possible. The way I see it, I can't remember who it was, but somebody, one of those fathers of AI, they call it the singularity sprint. So it's basically there's going to come a point when pretty much everything, especially these type of non-physical roles, will be mostly taken by AI. And so there's a sprint. There's a we have a window of time when we can actually be a business before we become a platform, right? And so that's really our thought process or our goal is that we need to capture as much of the market as we can right now while it is still human centered and really disrupt it. I mean, when we were talking about doing this, I remember saying to one of my partners, I was like, somebody's going to do this. Someone has to be thinking about this.
Yeah.
There just has to be somebody who's thinking the same way we are. We need to get out there first. Let's just do it. Let's go. My partner was at a big firm and he quit, just was like, let's do it.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So when you mention about, is that literal, like becoming a platform? Is that where you kind of foresee the industry headed?
Oh, it is. I
Yeah.
mean, it, we can't source candidates now, but it will get there. It can't interview candidates now, but it will be able to. I don't know if that's 3 years from now or 10 or 15. I don't know, but it's going to happen eventually. So it's really a matter of, and it will be, a platform. It will be something that, is probably going to be better than us in terms of understanding humans. So
That's crazy.
maybe we'll write it. I don't know. We haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, it's crazy to think and to comprehend that that could be. I mean, it just makes sense because it's like you already have different ATS systems, you know? It's just the human approach that's putting into the ATS and then the human approach in between your sourcing and finding and then interviewing and then the actual interviewing process and hiring. So it's like you have these pockets where you are leveraging the AI, but then you're incorporating a little bit of the human aspect. So if, AI is able to, become intelligently aligns, in the human aspect of it, then we can just like piece all these bits together. And I know you mentioned earlier that exact search, you thought that maybe it could be, thought of as like a platform, for potential clients. But do you ever think that you would be making this a platform or maybe leaning into that a little bit?
So we definitely think about that. It's not there yet, but the analogy I would make is that, think about diagnosing, right? So in diagnostics, AI is phenomenal. It sees things that doctors don't see, especially when you're talking about radiology. So you have an image and humans will miss things, right? So they're looking for signals in there, and humans just don't have the compute power to be able to identify all of the signals and then be able to map it against what's the experience. But AI can, and it can do that now very well.
Mhm.
That's really all we're doing. We are looking for signals, trying to map it against our experience, and then making a diagnosis. And so it will eventually be able to do that. There's a lot more nuance when you're talking about humans and you're not talking about an image. So that's going to take a lot of time. I definitely see it going in that direction. And so what we're doing is really looking, because the way AI works, and I think people use this analogy all the time, like think of it as an intern, and that can the smartest intern you've ever had. But really the way that AI is created is that it's being taught as a baby, right? So it's like the smartest baby you've ever had, and you're trying to teach it like this is a glass of water, right?
Mhm.
So, in the same sense, we have to kind of break down our process and really understand what are all the little things that we're doing that we don't even think of, right? It's just intuitive. And if we can understand each one of those steps and then understand how AI can be applied in each little thing that we're doing, then that will be the platform, right? Eventually, that will get to that diagnostic platform that can do this.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
maybe.
I mean, you made it seem really simple to get there, to be honest.
Yeah, it is It's simple, but it's not any more or less simple than getting a AI to diagnose cancer in an image. So it is harder than it sounds.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that changes the perspective a little bit. That's really interesting. I mean, I can see you going down that way. Whenever the time comes, little by little, you're doing big things in the space. And I think that you're just going to continue to do really great things. Is there anything that you would say that has any challenges or bottlenecks that have kind of hindered your ability to expand your reach at this point? Or do you find that it's been pretty smooth sailing right now?
Expand our reach in terms of identifying potential clients.
Yeah, like you mentioned, um, what did you say about like grabbing the whole market, market saturation? What's the terminology?
Yeah, capturing more of the market share.
Yeah.
I would say I don't know what the challenges are yet. We will encounter them as we go along. We know that people are going to be hesitant about two things, right? So the AI aspect for sure, but our the companies that get it, right? I mean, when we've talked to our clients or potential clients about the whole AILQ, so we have this AI leadership quotient. So we know that companies are looking for AI forward leaders. There was a Forbes magazine article that was out that talked about how hiring managers are looking specifically for AI proficiency in their
Mhm.
leaders. And so having this AI LQ, so it depends on where you stand on AI, whether or not you're all about it or you're, oh, well, is AI doing all the work? So we definitely have to make sure that we're emphasizing that we're humans that are doing this. The other side is that because our fees are so low, people are kind of like,
Is this real?
why is this? Yeah, is this like a budget option? And so, I mean, I've almost wanted to say, this is not a budget option. We're actually offering more. And
Yeah.
so I think the question is not why is our fees so low, but why are their fees so high?
Mm, yeah, definitely. We
So
did talk.
those are the things that I think once people get used to what we're trying to talk about, I think yeah, those. But then there'll be new bottlenecks.
Of course.
We'll see what that is.
It comes with growth. We just have different bottlenecks at different times, but we just get through them.
Right, right.
Can you share a little bit about your AI leadership quotient? We didn't chat about that at all. Exactly, maybe, I don't know, maybe some other agencies have found that employers are starting to look for AI driven leaders or, people that are familiar with AI. How are you currently assessing that?
Yeah. So what we know is that AI proficiency is not just for your tech team. So when you're a head of HR, head of marketing, especially finance, your CFO, the the opportunities that AI offers for those roles to become more automated in terms of the not replacing people, but in terms of making those redundant efforts just kind of simplified and done. Um, they so much more effectiveness. It frees up so much time for the team. And so what we know is that identifying people who are AI forward and can implement some of these tools will help every aspect of an organization, not just the CTO.
Hmm.
So what we came up with was this idea of having this quotient. It's kind of like an EQ or an IQ or whatever, but this is all around AI and how proficient are you and how AI forward are you? Because it's then if you're an AI forward leader, not only will you implement these things to make your department better, but you'll also lean in, help your team to lean in. And then your team starts to innovate also in that space. And so your whole organization starts to move forward into where AI is. And there's so many different ways that that organizations can improve. And like I said, it's not just your tech team that needs to understand that. Understanding whether or not a leader is AI forward is very nuanced. So it starts with needing a search person, so a search partner who is also AI forward.
Hmm.
So if you're not AI forward yourself, you're probably not going to be able to identify if
Yeah.
someone else is AI forward. So if you want AI forward leaders or team members, you first have to start with an AI forward search partner. And then it's because it's very nuanced and it's not just about, oh yeah, I asked ChatGPT to give me some gift ideas for my best friend. That's great. I
It's a start.
encourage everyone to do those type of things. But do you know what N8N is? Have you vibe coded? Have you implemented AI tools in any of your processes already? Where, how do you think about AI? Like the curiosity is important. So that's one of the probably key factors. They certainly don't have to be technical. I came from a technical background, but you don't have to be have a technical background to be AI curious. And so if they have a real curiosity about it, they're always kind of hearing about it, listening about it, trying to learn about it. That is a key element. If they don't have that, they usually don't have the others, right? So that's one of the core aspects that we look for in that AILQ. And then, like I said, there's a lot of other nuances that are around.
Yeah, definitely. That's so exciting. I mean, initially, well, I guess before we had initially spoke, I didn't even, I mean, I love AI and tech, but I never considered that, and it makes sense, companies are actually looking for AI forward individuals to join them because if somebody is AI proficient, then their systems and their processes will be more efficient. They'll be more effective in their role, which ultimately helps the company save time, cut costs and helps boost revenue. Because if you have, that's why I love AI so much, because it is a tool and it can support with those day-to-day tasks that you can automate a lot. And now this individual, instead of them doing all of these tasks that can be automated, now they can focus on higher level strategies or tasks and supporting the business in a different way. And I foresee that to be an easy way, so to speak, for employees to be able to go up the ladder a little bit quicker. I mean, that's just my thought process with the corporate background, but I was always trying to climb that ladder. And if you can have AI automating a lot of what that role's supposed to be doing, then you can all kind of step into like the next role a little bit, and then you can kind of climb this ladder a little bit quicker. And I think that's really exciting. I
Yeah,
love that you're
especially
part.
if you're AI forward, then you're working. Let's say your manager or whoever is not. You have an opportunity now to kind of like you said, climb up the ladder and really bring value to the organization. I mean, the amount of value that you can bring to an organization when you automate something. I spoke with a CHRO who we placed, and they had implemented a bunch of AI. She had implemented a bunch of AI systems, and they calculated it was saving their team 30% of time. And so they were always inundated with so much work that needs to be done. And now they can think about, okay, well, let's start doing this cultural move and let's start thinking about that. And they wouldn't have had time to do any of that type of. So when you really embrace it, then you have an opportunity to be that person
Mhm.
who's really bringing value to the organization. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yes. Wow, that's so great. I love that so much. As we wrap up today, Sandrine, what advice would you give other recruiting firms or agencies that might be a little hesitant on adopting AI tools?
I think I think it's hard for me to understand what they think, where they think things are headed,
Mm,
because if they're not on the same page that AI is actually not only here to stay, but is going to continue to improve dramatically, it's hard for me to imagine that there would be a resistance. It's almost like those people we always look back on when the internet started, right? And
mhm.
there are those clips of the of the people, the journalists who are like, I don't know, I don't really see the use of this thing, and we all laugh, right? It's all funny now. I mean, even for me, I remember when I got the first cell phone, and it's like this big, huge thing, and I was like, I don't really get the point. Like, if I need to make a phone call, I just go inside. Like, what is this? And
Yeah.
it's like that's so funny now, right? But that's where we're headed, right? This is the same thing. In 10 years, we're going to look back and be like, why were we ever thinking this wouldn't be huge? And so once you kind of get over that hump, then It's the curiosity, like I said. Just get in. It is fun. It is so fun because there's so many things that you can learn. I mean, I'll be watching a documentary about Siberian tigers, and I'm like, why? It's like they're like starving. So why won't they eat plants? And
Yeah,
I asked ChatGPT, and next thing I know, GPT is like, well, cats can't eat plants. They won't, even if they're starving. I was like,
that's crazy.
I didn't know that. So it's so great. It's such a great tool and
Mhm.
useful in so many different ways. So I
Absolutely.
encourage everyone to dive in. It is not only fun, it is enormously useful. It has its drawbacks and just know that. But in so many ways it's very useful.
Yeah, definitely. Sandrine, this was such an impactful and such a fun conversation. I thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your approach. I love how ExactSearch.ai is providing innovation and high touch service. These go hand in hand, and I can just see your business skyrocketing from here. I'm really excited to see where you're headed and what you're going to come up with next. If there's anybody in the audience who wants to connect with you or learn more about you, or maybe just pick your brain a little bit about AI, where
Yeah,
can they find you?
great. And thank you so much for having me. This has been a great conversation. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So I'm on LinkedIn. My name is Sandrine Ennis, so easy to find. And you can also check out our website, ExactSearch.ai. And absolutely feel free to reach out. I am happy to help and happy to have an AI discussion if anyone wants to do that.
Yes, absolutely. If you want to connect with Sandrine or learn more about ExactSearch.ai, check out the links in the show notes. And as always, thank you for watching Systems That Sell, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Sandrine.
Thanks, Jessica. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.